Hello everyone and welcome to the highlights of event number 3 of the Race Indy Pro Championship by FSR. We are driving the Indy Car at Sebring this time around in the third event of the championship series, and as usual we're starting off our highlight video with a qualifying lap. So coming out of the final turn, picking up all the speed across the line, starting the lap, and I can already tell you that this lap wasn't that great. As you can see, turn 1 we're missing the apex by a huge mile, and in general I've been struggling quite a lot throughout the week, as you've seen in various testing streams prior to the event, as we clipped the curb in turn 3, missed the apex turn 5, so yeah, not the very best first sector indeed, and as I said, I had issues all the time, lots of spinning over the bumps and everything. Apparently turn 6 was alright, but as you can see, 3/10 off the pace after the first sector already. So not really what we have wished for. And we keep going on to sort of screw around. Yeah, too much wheel spin out of turn 10. A lock up into 13. Too much hesitation on the throttle out of that turn, and then 7/10 off the pace. Quite amazing, one would say. Amazingly bad. Anyway, we keep really missing apexes. We are too eager, not too eager, we're too shy, we're not attacky and aggressive enough, really, and yeah, we're not committed enough, and we haven't had the confidence, full stop. It literally sums it up. Huge understeer going into the final turn. And you know what? It has the first and our only lap. It has been the first and our only lap for qualifying, and it is 1 second off the pace in the end. So we haven't had time for 3 laps. The second lap we failed. Stefanko took pole, and we were over a second away from that. So P13 in the sprint race as a starting grid. So we had to get the moves going. And on the grid lap, on the formation lap, I realized, oh, actually, lots of people out there with the prime tires. So we took green flag, already over-exaggerating it, and instead of gaining a spot from a perfect reaction initially, we even lose one, but happily we can take that back on the break-in into turn 1. We drive off the track in order to prevent some collisions. Cone on the front wing took away some downforce for sure. Anyway, we just tried to make use of that alternate tire, so the enhanced grip on the acceleration dual here for 12th place effectively. Late on the brakes, really can make up for the grip, as we hear a lot of crashing all around. It's a super eventful first lap everywhere around, so you've heard a lot of crashing noises. Anyway, we're on our way to turn 10 for the first time, and as you can see, the field's still bunched up. Once again, 9-lap race. We had to do our moves with only 4 or 5 people ahead of us, including us, on the alternate tire. We had to get stuff going. So on the back end here, on the rear wing of Noah Roivers, and into triangle chicane, 14, 15, 16. We just maximize our odds and see what we can do. Slipstream pretty intense and pretty effective on these cars, as Rovers go defensive, and we actually make use of our tire in order to keep the line and stay tight, and then try to accelerate big time, as we had the first spin of the race, which has been Philip Kraus getting us a freebie, and then we had this double overtake into turn 1, giving us P9 at the end of the first lap. So it has been a very crucial overtake. We just look at it again from the TV camera. We maximize on Toman getting a little bit of a slowdown due to crowd spinning, and then we just go all in onto the inside, leave enough space on the exit and take 2 cars into the first turn. But the second lap hasn't been over yet, so we've just overtaken 2 cars. And next up, we were chasing Kasper Stolze, who's replacing Matteo Caruso for this round. And as you can see, he's also on the primary tyre, so we tried to go around the outside into turn 6. Late on the brakes, given enough space, and then the acceleration duel versus him. We win thanks to the tyres, taking the 3rd spot on the second lap. Into P8 we go, and ahead of us is Costa. So Ricardo Costa with a good qualifying this time, and effectively with a stronger round than he experienced in the first 2 events. But effectively we had to get him past. He was in P7, he was on the prime tyre, a little bit of a wiggle on the exit out of Le Mans, and we just try to make use of that as we line up on the inside, make use of the alternate tyre, brake a little later, and out accelerate out of the final turn as Jiri Toman also passes Costa, and Toman, remember, was on the alternate tyre as well, so pretty intense move from us into turn 1, the double overtake. He was on the outside line, so we overtook him too, which was perfect for our strategy. Then 4 laps later I closed the gap to Peder Burak at the front, and I think that really deserves a replay because he was losing the car, I was losing the car in the same manner. We nearly touched, but somehow we just rally styled ourselves through turn 6. But of course we were not here for any nice racing or nice drifting. We were on the verge, so after 3 overtakes in lap 2, actually 4 overtakes in lap 2, we closed the gap to Brelak, and yeah, quite expectedly on the prime tyres the guys were struggling quite a lot. So we're coming up to turn 1, into lap 6 we go, and take that 6th place from Peder Burak. But our race still wasn't over, as we had 3 laps to go in the race still. And next up ahead was Dennis Jordan, who we can see right here at the exit of turn 5 after taking Burak. So just 1 lap later then we made it up to the rear wing of Dennis Jordan, and we actually tried doing the same. So Jordan also on the prime tyre, therefore a little bit down on pace because lower grip. I think the prime tyre had like 6, 7 or maybe 8/10 of a lap time difference if treated right. So we tried round the outside into turn 2, a little bit of a touch, and we also slightly touched the grass. So pretty intense racing here, no harm done, happily. Probably would have been also partly my fault as trying to send it up around the outside at this point. Into turn 6 we go side by side. Again late on the brakes but overshooting the corner, so that allows Dennis Jordan to retake that 5th position and eventually keep it for the time being. But once again we want to have a little look into the scene happening at turn 2, and you will see as we now come up to the replay file, we were pretty close from dying. So you see in the slow mo, there's the contact, there's the little touch, and look where the rear wheel is. The rear tire was, I would say it was on the grass, and we were very, very lucky not to spin off and die here. But lap 7 carried on after Jordan defended his place, and out of the more he ran a little wide, grounded on the curb, and that gave us the opportunity to pull alongside on the way to Sunset Bend. End of lap 7, round the outside, going for the acceleration comparison between each other, and the fight wasn't over. As we go into lap 8, of course he had a chance on us with a slipstream, but thankfully the alternate tyres give us the edge into turn 1, and we take that 5th place away from Jordan. Into the final lap we go. It is only just a few meters from the finish line, and we're hunting down Alan Tertic, who goes defensive, but we go round the outside. It's still lap 8, it's the penultimate lap though, sorry, but side by side we go, nearly get pushed into the wall. Everything fair and square though. And we had to just maximize it. Use that rest of the alternate tire, send it up into turn 1 and eventually take 4th place away from Alan Terchik. And that was the sprint race. 9 laps of racing. We gained 9 positions, so effectively overtook a car each lap. And honestly, the qualifying has been really bad, but this sprint race really made up for it. Performance wise, one of the best 15-minute races I did. And that P4 meant actually we are starting in P7 for the feature race, as the top 10 has been in reversed order. So as I said, a pretty important comeback after a really bad qualifying, I have to say. I'm still not really happy about this qualifying after all. Anyway, looking at the result though, Yanni Simincic takes the win in the sprint race, Siebel in second. Stefanko, who has been on the prime tyre in that race, in third, so that's an awesome result. As Jan Wozniak take pole position for the top 10 reverse grid, and front row will be completed by Ricardo Costa, who came 9th in the end in the sprint race. So looking into the feature race, remember I said Martin Stefanko had the prime tyre for the sprint race, which allowed him now to start the race, the feature race, on the soft tyre. As you can see, it's the car right next to me on the red tyres there. I could have also started on the alternates, but yeah, you better take the prime and optimize your strategy. As we take the green flag, Costa somehow slapped, which caused Dennis Jordan to crash into the wall nearly the same way I did in the first race, and that gives us P6 as we go into turn 1. And then we had contact. We had a lot of contact, and we also felt some contact. It is not to be seen in the picture right now, so hence we look at it at the replay. And afterwards I found out, after we see Dennis Jordan crashing into the wall from wheel spin. But you see now on the right hand side, there's Alex Siebel going into a gap, and round the outside is Stefanko on that alternate tyre. And then we simply lose the space between each other. And it's not really a fault by anyone, it's just a racing incident. Stefanko tries to take the corner a little tighter, wants to make use of his red grippy tires, and sadly we make contact, ending the race of Stefanko effectively. So pretty important for the championship from a burst point of view, despite obviously it was a shame that this happened in the first place. But anyway, we look into lap 2 as we defend from Kasper Stolze. Again, we run a little wide. Kasper Stolze with a great switchback. This time same tyres, and I'm dropping a little bit on the exit curve there off turn 6, and that gives Stolze the better line into turn 10. So effectively his position at this point. So we drop a space and been immediately under pressure by Noah Roivers, who also was on the alternate tyre, but eventually we kept the pressure, or we stand the pressure and kept going for a while. Next lap then, lap number 3, as we see the pole setter Jan Wozniak spinning around the inside into turn 2, and that gives us a freebie, but not for long though, because pressure from Noah Roivers at the back increased, and we decided to not lose further time and go into pit lane. But then this happened, and we have been very lucky not to die from that, and also Noah Roivers was very lucky not to die from that in the wall. Personally, I think he aimed for a space that never has been there in the first place, as I have been pretty much on the inside, but maybe race director will have a look at it. Anyway, we boxed from P6 and dropped back into P18 on the 5th lap. as Jene Simincic has also done his first pit stop. Well, he was behind us, so we just slipped behind him and tried to go further and make up some time altogether. Anyway, he cleared us pretty fast, overtook Geoffrey Fournier in lap 9. In the meanwhile, we gained back 4 spots from pit stops as we overtake Geoffrey Fournier on the back straight. On the run up to sunset, into P13 we go. So P13 at this point, and you see Alex Siebel now on our back. So we had a 4-second gap after our pit stop, but the battle with Fournier took away 2.5 seconds from me, so that brought Siebel right on the rear wing at the beginning of lap 10. And by the end of lap 10, he has already made up that entire time and was right on the edge with us. Remember the incident from lap 1? We suffered a tiny little bit of damage. I'm not sure if it really has affected our pace, but it has affected the rear end balance of the car pretty much. As Siebel tries to get us around the outside, we lose the spot, but eventually Costa comes out of pit lane, and that makes Siebel to back out of the move for 10% really, which enables us to keep the line, keep the position for the moment being, as we defend hard into turn 6 and into turn 5. But on the sprint to the hairpin, Siebel wasn't just done and try again, but thankfully for myself I could keep the stuff together and defend from the attack. 2 laps later though, as we've seen, there was a car behind Siebel 2 laps ago, which was Alan Turchik. And well, he decided to attack us hard into the triangle chicane 14, 15, 16, and well, when going into 16, I mean first he leaves track here, but when going to 16, this happened. We just spun around and dropping out from 4th into P6. And it was a pretty violent and also sudden spin, which we'll see from the replay file right now. As we see Terchik is going around the outside of us, we try to maximize our angle through turn 16, going full on the curb and immediately losing it. Big massive kudos to Alex Siebel, who reacted, and we did not even touch. But as you can see from his onboard right now, see, we go on the curb and boom, we just lose it. Remember, this is a slow-mo, we just got spun around so bad, but look at the reaction of Alex Siebel. Massive kudos to him to not have contact nose on nose, because that would have killed both our races. And remember lap 13, the spin we just had, we decided tires were sure to be done anyway, so we headed for pit road again. Entering pit road in P6, that was lap 13. At this point I lost like 8 or 9 seconds due to the spin, which was unfortunate, but yeah, I somehow had to deal with it. And we go for another set of alternate tires here. Remember, we still have to use the prime another time, so that was us on a 3-stop strategy, rejoining the track in P16 and eventually finding ourselves behind the triple fighting group, which we ended up hitting just 2 laps later. Into lap 16 you see guys 3 wide at the front, and eventually drama for the last one of those 3, as we nearly ran into Janos Braczok here, who was spinning, but eventually that got us a free spot. And then we kept going because we had more spots to gain at, as they were battling pretty intensely. There was Salt Shooks versus Noah Roivers there. Or was it Danny van der Nee? Yeah, shame on my brain, but can't remember actually. Couldn't really read out anyway. So we take that 12th position from the NetRex car, and immediately hunting Salt Shooks for 11th position, because it was very vital for us to get into clean air, to make use of that alternate tire, and a little bit of wiggle from Salt Shooks and it goes off the track, and that eventually makes us take in the place as he rejoins the track, dangerously sending the Netrex car off. Anyway, it was important for us to get past, but of course we lost more time and more space towards the leading group, despite overtaking 3 cars in just 1 lap yet again. Anyway, after our stint, we came back to pit road into 5th spot. So after all the pit stops of other people, we just regained some places and going for the last prime run for the final 5 laps of the race. And going out of our pit spot, we dropped from 5th to 9th, and at this point I really thought that may have been it, because gaps at the front looked pretty hard. 5.5 seconds to Noah Roivers at front and to David Mrožek further ahead. But Noah Roivers somehow was on a struggle, and we could make use of that into the end of lap 27, as we were close enough to position our car and eventually hit the throttle hard and go right into the slipstream of Roivers. Lap 28, and we decide for an inside move and just nearly clip the wall. So we take that 8th place, but it was quite some risk included, as we see now in the slow-mo how tight it was with 280 kilometers an hour on the inside line. We really nearly clipped the wall there, and that could have ended our race. Into the penultimate lap we go, lap 29. Remember, David Mrožek was still ahead of us and also started struggling towards the end of the race, as he made a pretty big mistake into 15, allowing us to get on his rear wing out of 16, as he had a wiggle again, and then a double upshift from his wheel actually took away acceleration speed from him, and that makes us go into P7, which was also the final move of our race. So despite all spinning, we came home in 7th in the end. Sadly though, Jiri Toman was ahead, 5 or 6 seconds ahead in P6. You can see him driving over the line there right at the front, so that could have been our spot. P6 could have been on the line. Sebring got 5th in the end, I believe. We're gonna see the result in a couple of seconds. And I could have been around where Sebring was, so P5 would have probably been the optimum, but if I remember, my back qualifying into P13 on the grid and a recovery drive up to P4 on the sprint race, that makes me really happy, because that strategy obviously compromised us into the feature race, and P7 with a compromised strategy while starting P7 is still a good result. So we have a look at it. Alan Terchik, the aggressive move made its same pay out, as he has won the race ahead of Costa and Simoncic. For the driver standings, that means Simoncic is now in the lead of the championship, as remember Martin Stefanko had his trouble. And for the team and constructor championship, we are now tied with Evolution Motorsports, 250 points, and it is super tight and super close in the championship. But I'm pretty sure you guys are interested to see how this will go on, and it will go on this upcoming Sunday already, as we hit round 4 at Virginia. And I hope you guys will be with us on next Sunday. That is the 18th of October 1955. We go into free practice, which means that the stream will start at 20:15, and you guys will both again see the sprint race and the feature race. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this highlights video, and I see you on next Sunday for event number 4 of the Race Indy Pro Championship by FSR.